Hey everyone, Jackie Ding here. We are at Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka, Kansas. I wasn't even planning to come to this event, but there's pretty much all the fast guys are here, and it's one of the closest ones to me. The reason I wasn't going to is we've got a huge race at UMI Motorsports next weekend. You can see some guys rolling in. Jake just getting here in his, I don't know what you call that thing, but anyway, track looks really fun, super smooth looking, and I'm told it's really good. But we're getting all set up here, people still rolling in. Today's just a light day of just some practice and then one of the qualifying, so it'll be good. I've never been here before, try to figure things out. There's also a good chance we're going to be switching to a Hoosier this weekend. I'd hate to go through the season without at least trying it, so wish us luck. I will try and do a better job of updating you guys throughout the weekend. And actually, let's take you around a little bit on a walk. Some of the guys are just rolling in. Jensen was here last night. This is his car. This has got a LS V8 in it, 4-speed, like a NASCAR transmission dog box. I think it's a G-Force maybe. This thing is an animal. Got Eric Coutil trying out a different aero. Look at this wing. Look at the wing on this thing. If you have a wing of a small enough size, 250 square inches, you don't have to take a weight or horsepower penalty for it. So some people are getting really creative. You got a bunch of these weird things. No, say hi. That's Luke, one of my good buds from way back. These things are ridiculous.
Well, what semi-select did you buy?
So there's a FRS with a J35 from a Honda minivan. You heard that right, minivan. So these things are bananas. And there's an S2000 with a J35. These belong to Justin and Tiffany Kelly. Say hi, Tiffany.
The RA1. It's RA1.
These guys roll. A lot of people still aren't here, but over here we got the Hot Boys. Let me see if I can zoom in. Hot Boys. Turns out they're fast too. That's the worst part, when they're a hot boy and they're fast. But anyway, so still a bunch of people that show up, and there's another paddock area maybe we'll go through later, but I should probably do a better job of walking around the paddock and showing you guys more stuff, but as you know, I'm not very good at this.
Hi again everyone. So here we are, race 1. I started 4th. I qualified 4th. You can see Speedy Gonzalez up there. I'm right next to Coutil, and we're going to go side by side through one. Tough with cold tires because you don't quite know what you have, but we got through there. I'm still right next to him. He's right on my inside. I shoved in deep. He told me after that he was surprised I went that hard, but he's got the preferred line here, and I just barely can keep it inside of him. Again, I stay a little bit deep, but he's able to carry a little more speed to the outside, so I can't quite clear him. Here I got a little sideways, and lucky I didn't get into him. But here there's not much I can do other than tuck in and hope we don't completely lose the leader. And now you can see, just barely, right behind me, I've got 2 ASM cars battling. That's Andy and Tom. And they're battling each other out just a little, although they're obviously teammates, so they're going to work together all weekend. Seems like a lot of people were working together all weekend. But anyway, So here we are, we're tucked into third, following Eric. Major news development. If you followed me this season, you know that I've been on street tires all season. Well, I guess except for Coda. I started on Hoosiers there, but switched to street tires and had success on them right away at NCM. So I've stuck with them all season until I became really frustrated with them at Mid-Ohio. And I put them on for practice before this race. And they were absolute garbage, at least at this racetrack they were. So we finally took the Hoosiers out, and I've been so impressed. And I mean, obviously we know that Hoosiers are faster than street tires, but I didn't think having to go down this far in size and losing the horsepower. For example, we had to take 11 horsepower out to run these Hoosiers, plus they're a lot narrower. And then in this track, which isn't a high-speed track, it cost me 4 miles per hour back-to-back with the street tire tune. So not insignificant, but it more than made up for it. We're talking seconds faster at this track than the street tires. And so I don't know, maybe I got a bad batch or what, but either way, I think Hoosiers is the way we're going to go moving forward. So, super fun track. This is Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka, Kansas. And really fun track to lap, but in my opinion, not the most fun track to race. And you're going to basically see why, because it's really difficult to pass unless somebody makes a mistake or is visibly faster or slower. But let's start a lap here. I'm going to show you basically this whole race. This is race 1, and I'll show you just the starts of race 2 and 3, and you'll see why. And then I'll show you most, if not all, of race 4. But so here's the start of the lap. That was start finish. We're wide open. I've decided it didn't make sense to shift to 4th for like 2 seconds here and then right back to 3rd. So I revved the crap out of this car all week, and 7,000 or 7,200 RPM was my rev limit, and we hit that basically every time coming through into 1. And I didn't feel good about it, but I am pretty proud of the car. It's held together really well this season. A few teething issues early on, but the car's held together well, and part of the reason I think we can spin it that high is, well, for one, we're not making any horsepower. We're making 229 horsepower, but we also run comp shaft rockers, the BSR shaft rocker system, and it's been bulletproof in both of my cars. So, and we rev both of them with little regard. So, and then the other thing is, it's a tough bullet to bite, but I bought the daily dry sump system for both cars too, and that has been also flawless. And we don't have to worry about oil starvation, which is usually the demise of road race car engines. So, ask my buddy Luke about that. Anyway, so now you've got a battle for first up there, which is what I love to see, because I'm just a little off pace with these guys. And I haven't quite found the pace. A little later in the weekend, actually after this race, I took some air pressure out of the tires, because I'm still learning the Hoosiers and what they like and don't like. And I think I overdrove them just a little bit maybe in this race, and they got a little hot. Plus, the temperature outside was really hot for this first race, and so I think it was maybe a combination of those things. But I do need these guys to battle if I want any chance of catching them. So, but anyway, back to the lap here. Now you can see that's called the carousel, I think is what they call it. That's what we're calling it anyway. I don't know all the corner numbers. This, I think, is 5 or 6 maybe, or 5 and 6 coming up. But this is the slowest part, well, second slowest part of the track. But here's a tight, slow second gear corner. You can see Tom is all over me. Now we just accelerate. This turn is wide open. I have my super patented slow shift. And then up here is the most fun corner. We stay hard to the left here Just a slight brake to kill a little speed back to the right. You basically almost touch the grass there, and back to throttle like at apex, and you're back wide open, and you just fling the car, and it's so much fun. But also not really a place to pass. It's just impossible. So not that anybody really can get set up for one there, but this is like 3 decreasing radius corners in a row, and I'm going to talk to you later about that last one we just went through. Super slow speed right-hander back onto the start-finish straight. Again, Tom's all over me. I'm basically keeping up with those guys, but and I feel like I've probably got a third place car at this point, although my lap times do fall off a little bit here. The tires did get a little bit greasy on me, and it's probably just tire pressure in this case. But I do lose a little bit of pace coming up here. Eric, at least early on, seemed to have the car to beat all weekend. He's the Honda in front of me. He went out and practiced his first time here and was just fast, like 2 seconds faster than I was. And I mean, I knew I had some time. I was just slowly scrubbing in my new Hoosiers. Anyway, you just saw Justin get a little sideways. Got nitrous or what, but anyway, what was I saying? Well, that's embarrassing. Sorry. Anyway, you can see my rear view. Tom is now all over me. He told me after the race he was like looping around on purpose, trying to get me like shook a little bit, and I guess it might have eventually worked here. And I'm going to show you here in this next lap, or actually this lap, I think, where he eventually gets me, and it's my own fault partially. You can also see my car doesn't turn right that well. That's not the best example of it because I was pretty smooth there, but the car is always loose on high-speed right-handers, and we've tried and changed everything you can think of, and it's just loose on high-speed right-handers on entry. But anyway, right here, I never carried quite enough speed probably, and Tom is, you can see now, all over me, and he's on the inside, so I left that lane for him, and he took it. Now Andy's coming right behind him, so I gotta stay low, and now it's a drag race. I killed all my exit speed, but killed some of Andy's entry speed, so it's basically just a drag race out of the corner. I grabbed third, and he is right there, and we're a couple inches away. Ducks in, and I think I'm good, but turns out I'm not, because I just didn't quite have the pace this first race, especially on this back half. And I'm mad at myself for not seeing this sooner. Right here, I feel like I did fine. Getting far back to the left isn't that important. Right here, though, you break down, and then I would cut this off too much usually. And right there, that shouldn't have happened. That's my mistake. Andy gets up alongside of me, gives me just a little bump, and off we go back to the start-finish. And now I believe this is the white flag lap. And I've basically just said, all right, 5th place for me this race. We've got a decent gap back to, I believe it was Aaron right behind me. So I've basically at this point just let off and said, all right, this is where I'm going to finish this race, and we'll try and get better for the next one. So
got a little time, so let's have a chat about race 1. I started 4th, and into turn 1, Justin had already cleared, and I was up to battling for 2nd with Eric Coutil.
we battled for a number of corners that I'm sure I showed you, and that was a lot of fun because we were close racing with a guy you can trust, and it was really tight. It was fun. He cleared me like half lap through the first lap, and then I just tried to stay with him, and we kind of caught up to Justin after a few laps, but Tom was all over me for the whole race until the last, like, I think the second or third to last lap. Tom passed me, and he made an awesome move. It was one that I should have seen it coming because he kind of showed it before, and he definitely has more speed there, so one that I should maybe have seen coming, but I didn't. So, but it is a really tough place to pass, and it doesn't necessarily suit my car that well, but we showed some serious pace. We were second fastest lap time in that race, so we will be starting second for the next race, which is good because that's the front row, and I should be able to clear Andy. I start next to Andy. I should be able to clear him by turn 1, I hope, and then hopefully I can just run smooth, clean laps, and hopefully there's some battling behind me because I know those guys are faster than me, especially later in the race. I think my tires just struggle to hold, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to just run super clean, great laps the whole race and not have to mess with anybody, but I'll do my best. So first race was fun. Next race should be even better, and that goes off here in a couple hours, and then race 3 and 4 will be tomorrow.
Alright, here's the start of race 2, and as you can see, I'm in the front row. Turns out my third lap from the last race was the second fastest lap overall of everybody, and we grid race 2 based on best lap time from race 1. So I started on the outside of row 1, and it really didn't matter because generally speaking, the V8 cars, like myself and a few others, as soon as that green flag drops, we can usually get a half car or a car length advantage almost immediately on the Hondas, and that's a nice advantage for a race start. So I pretty much knew I could clear Andy into turn 1, and now it's just a matter of drive clean and smooth and smart and see how far we can make it in this race before we get past. So we get a little ways, although you're about to see some terrible driving. So I don't know what I was thinking, but coming up here I was like, hey, let's try something a little different, and I waited way too long to turn in, and now I'm just fighting it, trying to keep it on track, and I killed a ton of speed. Here comes Andy. I decided, well, I'm going to make him go to the right. Now we're at the same speed, so I just am in front of him, and this is maybe the most garbage opening lap I've ever driven, but I got a wide car on a track that's impossible to pass on, so I'm in a good spot. So first lap's done, I'm somehow still in the lead. And now I need to start picking it up. And the good news is that's exactly what I did. Every lap got faster and faster in this race. And we ended up winning this one. This was exactly what I needed and not really what I expected. There you maybe saw my quick hands there back to the left on a right-hand turn. That's the issue I'm fighting. Don't know what else it could be. I'm going to go through that whole left rear once I get back from Pennsylvania this next weekend and try to figure out what's going on. Low speed's fine. Like these turns I can catch it easily enough, and it actually, if nothing else, maybe helps the rotation a little bit. Keeps the car from understeering on right-handers, but high speed, man, you gotta catch it fast. But you can see a little gap opening up, and this race is gonna get pretty boring if we watch it all, so we'll probably wrap this one up because it's just basically pace laps from here on out. Andy's, we gain and lose a little bit throughout the race, but I was able to hold him off and got a win for the weekend, which was nice.
So now it looks like we're doing the same thing again, but I won the race, so I got pole position for this race, and I chose the outside again. You can see I just barely clear Andy a little bit. They're fighting behind me, which is perfect. The more they fight, the better off I am. So this race is going to be quite similar. Although this was a new day. This was the morning race 3 on Sunday, which was quite a bit cooler. And this was by far my best race. The lap times just got better and better each lap, and I was proud of the driving in this race. Not necessarily every turn, but the consistency was there. Very few mistakes. Overall good speed. In fact, I think I had the fastest lap in the race. I won the race. Things couldn't have gone much better. So I feel like I had a good handle on things. I've got 75 pounds of rewards weight in the car right now, and maybe that's the magic number, but the car felt the best it felt all weekend. I think it was mostly to do with temperature, in-track temperature, where this thing just felt good. And this was a pleasure to drive this car in this race. If I remember correctly, Eric gets by Andy, or maybe he already is, I can't tell for sure. Actually, I think he is. Take a closer look here in a second. Yeah, I think he's already by him. So basically, I was just watching Eric in my mirror the whole time, thinking, I know that guy gets faster and faster each lap, and historically I get slower each lap. So I didn't think I stood much of a chance of holding him off the whole race, but I figured I'd just drive the best that I could and see what happens. And we were fortunate enough to hold him off somehow. This is a really fun turn, that carousel. You dive in as hard as you basically can. I mean, it catches you because it's got some camber to it. And so you can just dive in and trail brake and get the car slowed down way more than you could typically on a flat surface, and then get right back to gas and just ride it through the corner. That was a lot of fun. There's a lot of attributes of this course that are a lot of fun, but racing it is not really. And by racing it, I mean wheel-to-wheel racing. Like Time Attack would be a blast at this track, but I don't think it's a super fun track to race others against. So again, this race is basically just me cruising, and again, Eric was maybe a couple seconds off of me, give or take, for most of the race, and he was fighting some transmission issues, so maybe didn't get quite 100% of him, but it was darn close, and this track really suits his car. So I'll be looking forward to Road America, where I have hopefully a advantage more in my favor. Although he is testing his Road America layout for his car this weekend, so his car could have possibly been better yet with his other setup, but hard to say for sure. If anybody has any ideas, if you continue watching, if you have any ideas of what in the world my right hand instability, my right turn instability could be, looseness, let me know in the comments. Things we've tried. We checked bump steer. Of course, we've checked, make sure there's nothing binding. Checked sway bar. In fact, I tried changing the sway bar settings. But it doesn't happen on right-hand turns, it's just the left-hand turns, where it just like snaps. So if you have any ideas, shock travel we've checked, we're not running out of shock travel. I don't know, but anyway, we're gonna wrap this race up here and get on to the final race. I finished first here, and on the fourth race we do a random invert. In this case, the random number was 6, so I will be starting sixth position for race 4. Behind the fastest guys in this series, minus just a few guys that weren't there, but we missed them. Anyway, here we are, race 4, starting 6th position. I give Tom a little nudge here, because there's not really anywhere for me to go to the right. Looking back, I guess I could have. Biggest mistake I make is I didn't realize, I thought Coutille was still to my left here, so I leave the apex right here in 2. I leave the apex open just a little bit for him, and I don't get back to gas early enough, and he comes blazing through and pushes me a little bit to the right. So now I'm basically 3 wide here, which is a terrible spot to be. He misses a shift, so I have to lift a little bit, and then here comes Jake, who decides he wants to be racy, and now I gotta race Jake before I can get back up and try and fight Eric. And the reason that's so important is Eric and I were separated by 1 point at this point going into race 4. I had a 1 point lead on him for the weekend championship, and so I just needed to finish in front of Eric, and I was going to win the weekend. So him getting out like this was tough, and it hurts a little bit because it was my own silly mistake. Although, if you're not sure, erring on the side of caution is probably the right thing to do. So, oh, by the way, here I am in the grass. Hoosiers, we're not quite up to temp yet, and I'm trying to stay out in front of Jake, and I kind of blew it a little bit. And here's some more terrible driving, if I remember correctly. Just a mess, I guess. Jake rattled me. But anyway, the leaders haven't gotten out too far yet. I got my buddy Eric leading the way though, and that's so fun to see, as he's been getting faster and faster every weekend with Gridlife, and it's fun to see because this level of competition is serious. I've raced a few things in my day, and this is a serious challenge, and I wish a lot more of my racing buddies would come build a car and get out here and do this, because it is so much fun. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Alright, so anyway, here we are. 5th spot. I've now cleared Jake by a good bit, and I'm basically in no man's land, but that's usually where I do my best work, I guess. So I feel like I should be able to catch these guys, especially if they're battling. That'll be quick and easy to catch them, but just try and run clean now. I think Eric must have missed a shift there, because otherwise I don't know why he'd have been so off pace. I assume that's what happened, and I'm like, oh dang, this is exactly what I needed. So I picked up a ton of room or space on him there, and now I feel like, okay, maybe I got a chance to catch this guy. Although I'm checking my temps, and my temps are already getting hot, so that's why I keep pulling out of the draft. You'll see it throughout this race. I'm pulling out of the draft, trying to keep the thing cool. And we're going to talk about that turn probably the next time by, because now that I've watched my video enough, I realized a mistake I made pretty much every single lap, and it's got me pretty upset. Not upset, but something I should have known and caught earlier, and it is what it is, I guess. But anyway, I still got him in my sights. Eric is the guy right in front of me in the little hatchback, and he's the guy that I need to be in front of to win the weekend. So I figured right here he's got the better line, so I'm going to follow him through. And there's my buddy Aaron in this fancy, beautiful Porsche. And he is going to be a super nice gentleman to say, here, I know what you're trying to do. Go ahead. You're a little faster than me anyway. Let's not fight. You carry on. And I really appreciated that. That was a tremendous thing for me at that point, because I can't afford to just let Eric get away while I'm battling. So that was really nice. Thanks, Aaron. That's not something that everybody is required to do. Everyone is there to race themselves. So it's different for different people. And there's Tom running the grass line. He did that pretty much every single lap. He, when I followed him anyway, he would just touch the grass a little bit there, and that's part of why I was getting a little hot. My radiator grill was getting filled with grass. So right here, I had a problem. I would kill too much speed and try stay to the left too hard, and that's where I'm mad at myself. Instead of opening my hands up and getting back to gas sooner and letting it run out just a little more to the right there, I cannot believe I did not catch that earlier and try to take advantage of it. It's maybe a matter of a tenth or two a lap, but well, maybe not even that much, but it's something that I should have noticed earlier and tried to take advantage of it. I just felt like that's the way my car handled the best through there, but I think it was a mistake looking back. So anyway, we're about halfway through the final race. All I need to do is get in front of this little poop box Honda in front of me, and it's everything I got just to even keep up with those guys right now. So whatever magic I had in race 3, I just didn't have the pace in race 4, and I don't know if it was temperature. I didn't change tire pressures this time. I didn't make any other adjustments to the car, so I didn't have the pace. Maybe it was running in traffic. Maybe my car doesn't like the dirty air. Maybe it was because it was getting hot. Quite sure, but I just couldn't run the pace anymore. Maybe it was just poor driving. Maybe I just wasn't quite on it. I could look at data, I suppose, although I'm not that good at that. But got just another 5-6 minutes, I think, left of this race. Tom O'Gorman in second place, chasing Eric Jensen in first place. Jensen, as I showed you earlier, has got the LS engine with a NASCAR transmission, like a 4-speed dog box transmission. He doesn't even lift the shift, he just rammed the next gear. It's really cool, and I'm really jealous of it. But anyway, he's off leading the way there, and you can see that V8 power just pulls him out of the corner. Helps him get the gap that he needs. And then O'Gorman is probably about as good a race car driver as I know. He is a former professional too, so he's been around and driven almost everything, and got a lot of respect for the way he drives. And it's a lot of fun to be able to go up against guys like that and occasionally get in front of them. That's a big part of the reason I'm doing this type of racing. It's because I know how good these guys are, and that's the challenge and the competition that gets me going. So super fun to be able to run with these guys, especially when you're inches away, although this is not that case. I can't even catch these guys, so but it is a lot of fun when you can be that close and trust them. And back to Eric in front of me. We spent most of the weekend in one way or another kind of battling each other, and it was a lot of fun. Spent more time chatting with him this weekend than I probably ever have, and it's a lot of fun. Here Tom makes a mistake. I'm not sure why he did that, but that basically killed his exit onto the most important straight. That's probably the most important turn of the track, and well, maybe not, but you can't really kill your own momentum like that. And now I've got a great run, and here's maybe my biggest mistake is I should have just kept it right on Eric's bumper, but I lifted figuring these guys would go too wide through here, and I think Tom just said, well, I'd rather see Eric win because it's means more to him. So it seemed like he just let him by, because I don't think he would have done that for me, but maybe. But I figured they'd go too wide and I'd still have a chance to get in back with them. But I feel like he just lifted them, kind of let them through. And now I've got a much bigger hill to climb. So now I got to get past Tom before I can get past Eric. And that made that scenario a lot less likely, because I can barely keep up with him in the first place. So did I tell you guys how much I like Hoosier tires all of a sudden? It's so fun to be able to actually have a race car at the end of the race versus my previous strategy, which worked in many cases. There, I should have rolled more speed. That's where I'm upset at myself. But anyway, it's nice to have a race car at the end of the race that has something left versus just barely hanging on. It's a real treat. So, although at this racetrack you're probably better off the other way. If you had a street tire that could actually do something, you're probably better off being in the lead and just trying to hold people back and having horsepower, because that's kind of the formula right now that Jensen's got. It's these guys are definitely faster than them. Their lap times are faster. We've seen that all weekend. But where are they going to pass? As soon as we get to a corner exit, all that guy's got to do is put his right foot down, and there's nothing they can do. They'll catch back up to him through some turns and brake zones and this and that, but there's not really a way by unless he makes a decent-sized mistake. So that formula does work. We've seen it, but now street tires are all but eliminated from this series. I don't think anybody's on them anymore, and for good reason. They're just not good enough, unless unless the old way would still be allowed, and that's not the case. So time is running out. There's only maybe a couple laps left of this race, and I can't even get to the bumper of Tom, let alone get by him and get by Eric. So I'm getting a little bit deflated. My lap times are falling off. I'm not improving. And they're not exactly making a bunch of mistakes up there. Plus, if you look in my mirror, you'll see one Andy Smedegard coming. He has a bit of a start problem. Apparently, he's not real good at the start of races, but man, is he good at the end of races, and he was way faster than any of us, I think, if I remember correctly from the lap times, and also just from seeing in my mirror, he just closed on me like I was standing still. So he had definitely found some speed at the end of this race. Oh man, maybe I got a chance. They're going side by side. Coutil more or less runs Tom into the grass, and I ended up having to really over brake here just to stay off of Tom, and Andy luckily stayed off of me, so that didn't accordion and hurt any of us. That's good. But there goes really any chance I had. And now I'm just thinking, well, I guess I'll just try and keep Andy behind me. And I know he's way better through the final S's. And so it does get to be an exciting finish. There's Tom running the Tom line. And I definitely have a run here, but he makes sure I don't do anything with it. I'm kind of discouraged against that in this series, but I probably would have done the same thing. Now Andy's all over me. I feel like I don't have any tire left. He sure does. He's making that thing stick where I can't. He's right on my inside. And it's a drag race. And I barely nip him. There's a half car right here at the finish. I got him. So, finished fourth that race, and it was just not quite enough for the weekend championship, though we did finish second. And I want to thank you guys for watching. It was a super fun weekend, and I look forward to the next one. If I'm motivated enough, I might try and put something together for our race down in Pennsylvania next weekend, our autocross. So maybe look for that here in the next week. Thanks for watching. Smash buttons. Love you. Bye.